What's up, YouTube? 193 days semen retention. I just finished a meditation. One of the benefits of semen retention that I have noticed is when I'm not distracting myself with porn, with ejaculating, or a better way to word it is just when I'm holding that energy. When I meditate, it seems like, well, it doesn't seem like, I spontaneously generate more creative thoughts, and my mind produces more positive perspectives. So what just came to me? Well, first, no perspectives are really absolutely true. This is my perspective. No perspectives are really absolutely true. We could take any perspective and it's like relatively true. But there are relatively higher perspectives and relatively lower perspectives. So the thought that came to me recently, over the last year, over the last few months, I've been reading this book, and it's called Rogue State. And basically this book gives the perspective of the United States as being the world's largest terrorist organization, basically. And it presents all of this evidence for the horrible things that the United States empire has done across the globe. Basically since like the 1940s. And this book, I think it's only like 300 something pages, but I have been only able to read a little bit at a time. And there's a few reasons for that. I mean, it just goes over so many different incidents. For example, it talks about coups that the United States has orchestrated in other countries. It talks about invasions. It talks about chemical warfare, biological warfare that the US empire has committed abroad, and even chemical and biological testing that the military has done, the CIA, to our country, to our own people. So this is just the gist of the book. And really, when you're reading this, like each thing also, you have to look into it. So each little incident, you have to take time to research it on the internet, and it's all true. So it's taken me a long time because of that, because I'm researching stuff as I'm reading through it. But mostly it's taken me a long time because every time I start reading it, it's really, really like shattering to the idea of the United States that was programmed into me since I was a child. It's extremely heavy, it's extremely dark, and it really, like, I can literally feel it closing my heart as I read it. Like literally, I feel it closing, not my physical heart, but like my spiritual heart, my heart chakra. I literally feel it starting to close, and it's painful and it's uncomfortable, and I find myself continuing to want to come back to it though. And I struggled with that for a little bit. I mean, every time I read it, like, it makes me depressed, and it takes me out of my spiritual high, and it just makes me sluggish. So I was thinking about this and how it affects me, and why am I reading this? Like, it's just negative. And, you know, some people, some spiritual teachers, like I can think of a few that I follow, would suggest something like, where you put your attention, that's the reality that you're creating. Okay, maybe that perspective is relatively true. But I don't think we can deny where, I mean, You could do anything you want. It appears that we're in a world that already has a lot of negative stuff in it, right? And so much beautiful stuff too, so much positive, beautiful stuff, but I'm talking about the negative right now. Me changing my attention, changing my perspective, it doesn't magically make the negative that is already here, that I've already experienced, that I've already learned about, it doesn't magically make it disappear. It's here. I can't deny that. Me burying my head in the sand, only looking at the positive, that doesn't change what I already know about the bad. So this perspective came to me in my meditation just now. Okay. You, I, people on this path, we could say our nature is like the light end of the spectrum, light versus dark, right? We are the light end of the spectrum. Okay, light shining itself on other light, that's totally cool. That's totally great. It's enjoyable, but I mean, does it really, to a whole system, shining light on more light, it's not really changing anything. Light on light, the light's already there. The light's already on in the room, light's already there. Turning on more light bulbs, the light's already there. Okay? Now, the darkness though. If you shine the light in the darkness, that's doing something. When you shine the light in the darkness disappears. The darkness is exposed, and the darkness can't stand the light. Not in like an emotional way, just the physics of it. The darkness can't stand the light. The light turns on, the darkness is exposed, and the darkness disappears. So this perspective came to me in my meditation that while it can feel heavy and maybe like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this, to expose yourself to dark truths about reality. If our nature is light and our nature is good, and we keep that in the back of our mind, it can be a good, necessary thing that will strengthen us. So how, in this example, does it work? Well, I expose myself to, like, let's say before I expose myself to the darkness, I'm living a certain type of life, right? I'm going out in the world, I'm just spending my money kind of mindlessly, supporting corporations that are committing atrocities across the globe. And I can be a good person, I can be happy, and that's all cool. But there's an aspect of my life and how I'm living my life that is having a negative impact on the whole because of my ignorance. But now if I expose myself to the dark and I let my light shine in the dark, even if it feels like it temporarily weakens me, it temporarily hurts me, it temporarily closes my heart, ultimately my nature is light. The light's going to come back stronger. And now I'm going to know about this darkness. And now I can change the way that I interact with the world and make more conscious decisions to help shine the light in the areas that have this darkness that I am now no longer ignorant to. So with this book, for example, like I said, it talks about basically it presents the U.S. as being an empire, and it really is. I mean, our military is in like 50 countries right now. We have something like 250,000 people, military people deployed at any given time across the whole globe. I mean, it's basically an empire. And the empire, one perspective is it can appear that the empire has really existed to serve the interests of corporations. And then we could go deeper. Who owns those corporations? Rich people. But anyway, sticking to the corporation level, it exists to serve the interests of these corporations that want resources in other countries, and then also to kind of maintain the capitalist system that we have to prevent anything else from arising in other countries that could show that there's an alternative. So with this example now, I'm a little more aware of what the system is, and I already knew this, but now I'm just more deeply aware of what the system is and how I, with my career choice, with how I choose to spend my money, I'm this cog in a machine, and I have responsibility. And I mean, everybody is responsible. If you take part in the game, like if we're blaming stuff on, it's the corporations, and it's the politicians, and it's the government, it's the left, it's the right. If we're blaming stuff on these people, and they do deserve some blame, but we're still playing our own role as these little cogs in the system, little consumers spending money on these corporations that don't give a crap about you. When you could be, for example, with food, you could be spending money on, you could be spending it with local farmers and supporting local farmers, and just trying to support local businesses in general. If we're playing our role as these cogs in the machine, we are also culpable for whatever system it is that we don't support. So, anyway, to summarize this perspective that I had, basically, you and I were light. And while exposing ourselves to the dark might temporarily make us feel depressed, low vibration, weak, ultimately, we're doing something good for ourselves and this world that we share. That's my reflection, and I hope you guys have a great day.